What's some basic knowledge that a scary amount of people don't know? Years and years ago I read a book that took place in Australia. I'm in the USA. In the book it was Christmas time, and also summertime because that's how it works. The narrator described Christmas decorations that were snow-themed, Santa still in his red suit, etc., and I thought it was interesting that the decorations were still winter-themed even though it was summer. This book is my only source for this information, so I don't even know if this is really the case. Anyway, I went around to like 5 to 6 people at work trying to tell them that I found this info mildly interesting, and I always started with, you know how December is summer in Australia? And literally not one person knew that. Like, everyone was confused about it. I felt like I was taking crazy pills because I thought that was common knowledge. Basic first aid. My mom witnessed a motorbike crash a few years ago and had to shout at someone that had intervened to get them to stop trying to take the injured person's helmet off. First aid training should be provided to everyone because it's better to have the training and never need it, than the other way around. How to read basic statistics. You don't have to study math. Just understand that data without context is bad data and correlation is not causation. Example, say more wealthy people are killed by horses than poorer people, therefore, horses are communists. That's fucking stupid, obviously, because wealthy people are more likely to regularly ride horses, and are therefore more likely to be injured. However, if you did not know that a horse can't be a communist, then this could sound reasonable. This is how stats can lie to you. 83% of people do X and quad. Okay, how? When? What's the demographic breakdown? How many people were polled? Where? All of these questions are far more important than 83% of people do X and quad. This is also the basis of mass political propaganda. You can spin data to say whatever you want. COVID kills 2% of people who get it, which is a massive number of people becomes 98% of people survive COVID, so go ahead and get it in quad. A guest requested their chicken to be cooked medium rare this week. I don't understand why I have to stress that chicken only leaves the kitchen when it's completely cooked. When you are given a medication by your doctor for bacterial infections, it is actually meant to be taken all the way through, not stopped when you feel better. If you stop halfway through, the strain of whatever you're trying to fight will learn to become immune to it. If you ever see guys on the street challenging people to find the pea under the cap, don't fall for it. There are at least 4 or 5 guys in on this, only one of which you'll actually pay attention to, and most of them probably carry guns on them if you try to screw them out of the money they screwed you out of. For university students, don't leave your electronics or valuables alone by themselves in any area that can be publicly accessed. Security is not responsible for your stuff being stolen because you wanted to be an idiot and leave it out in the open, and the school won't replace it either. Google is not a truly reliable source of information. Want to prove the Earth is round? 30 seconds on Google will provide a few dozen articles proving it. Want to prove the Earth is flat? 30 seconds on Google will provide a few dozen articles proving it. Over the past 100 years, there have been more than 24 attempts to build a socialist society. It has been tried in the Soviet Union, Yugoslavia, Albania, Poland, Vietnam, Bulgaria, Romania, Czechoslovakia, North Korea, Hungary, China, East Germany, Cuba, Tanzania, Laos, South Yemen, Somalia, the Congo, Ethiopia, Cambodia, Mozambique, Angola, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, among others, not counting the very short-lived ones. All of these attempts have ended in varying degrees of failure. Drowning doesn't usually look like drowning on TV. 9 out of 10, it's just silent. The person goes under and doesn't come back up. And choking doesn't look like choking is seen on TV either. If there's any hacking, coughing, they aren't choking and don't need a Heimlich maneuver. You only use the Heimlich if there's no sound coming out of their mouth. That you absolutely shouldn't wash your chicken before you cook it. Any harmful bacteria is killed by cooking it all the way through. Plus, washing it can just make germs and foodborne illnesses spread more easily around your kitchen. I ruptured a disc in my back and had to get surgery. The first surgeon they sent me to told me they were going to have to cut through a bunch of muscle and wanted to fuse a couple of discs in my back. He told me I'd be partially disabled for the rest of my life. I went home and researched it on the web and saw where laparoscopic surgeries had become common for my issue. They had a much faster recovery time. I talked to the surgeon about it and he brushed it off as if it was some passing fad. I grabbed my MRI when I left and found another surgeon. Turns out I was a perfect candidate for the laparoscopic surgery, and the new surgeon didn't see any reason to fuse anything in my back. That was 22 years ago. I still work a pretty physical job and I'm still pain-free. It cost me an extra copay or two, but I'm so glad I didn't let the first surgeon work on me. If you go to see a doctor in America, most of the time you will not be seen by an actual doctor. Hospitals, urgent cares, and medical offices have taken on to hiring nurse practitioners and physician's assistants to replace actual medical physicians. They can pay them a lot less money because their training is vastly inferior and shorter. Basically, the hospital gets to charge you the same amount of money, and saves a lot of money on their payroll. The only person that suffers is you. Oftentimes they come in wearing a white coat, and some will even introduce themselves as a provider or say, "I will be taking care of you today," and patients rarely know the difference. Always look for MD or do after the name. Don't feed grapes to dogs. Just had a best friend lose their completely healthy dog out of nowhere because someone at a barbecue they were hosting fed grapes to their dog. No one ever came forward having done it, so could have been a child, but still, a lot of adults don't know too. The left lane is sacred. Don't care what speed you go, pass and get out of that lane as soon as possible. If anyone passes you on the right, you are part of the problem. The Earth is not 2022 years old. The current year is not the Earth's birth date. Lol. Even the most zealous young Earth creationists believe, incorrectly, their Earth is biblically 6,000 years old. If they only knew how amazing reality is in comparison. Where 99.999% of the mass of trees comes from. Literally thin air. CO2 in the air gets converted into sugars which become the various molecules that become wood. Photosynthesis, y'all. Don't dive in the water to save a drowning person. They will kill you. Throw them a flotation device. Hand them a broomstick and pull them to safety. Do not get in the water with a panicking person. Wait until they are unconscious and then dive in to retrieve them. Source: years of swim lessons and unfortunately knowing somebody who has died trying to rescue somebody. That pasta or rice left on the counter for a few hours can grow deadly bacteria. Never eat pasta/rice that has stood in room temp for a long while, and always finish your leftovers within 2 days. Don't reheat leftovers twice or thaw food and then freeze it again. Don't eat your zucchini/squash if it's bitter after cooking. Rhubarb leaves are very toxic. Always wash your hands after touching raw chicken and clean any surface you touch with your fingers after touching the chicken. A lot of industrial meat, especially chicken, is treated with so much antibiotics that you risk contracting multi-resistant bacteria. Small things like that can be really beneficial to know. However, most foods apart from this are perfectly fine to eat past their expiration date, and as long as they smell and look okay then you should be good to go. Wanted to end it on a good note there since I don't want everyone to throw out their groceries, haha. I know a woman who escaped an abusive relationship. She told me, "I honestly believe that if I treat people kindly, they will do the same to me." I think a lot of people are unaware that there are legitimately malicious people, who will take advantage of whatever kindness you show them. Frankenstein isn't the name of the monster. It's the name of his doctor who created him. Completely worthless information still. I thought it may fit here. That in a lot of vehicles, when you turn on your hazard lights, it disables the brake lights. This is bad because I have seen in rainstorms people will drive with their hazards on. They think they are being extra safe, but in reality they are making it more dangerous, because now the person behind them won't know when the person in front is stopping. The elites don't want you to know this, but the ducks at the park are free, you can take them home. I have 458 ducks. Don't get married and have kids the second you start making real money. An alarming amount of my old high school acquaintances are now getting divorced or are experiencing depression because they feel trapped. Unfortunately, that's what tends to happen when you make lifelong decisions before you really know yourself. The average person is chronically dehydrated. Drink more water. Stay hydrated. This is a threat. Antibiotics do not work on a virus. How a four-way stop works. Every hurricane in Florida we've several traffic lights go out. People are supposed to treat it like a four-way stop, but instead they do this nonsense. "Oh, he went? 10 more of us will go. It's fine!" And quad. I actually saw one light where people were doing it correctly after EN and I nearly shit myself, I was so shocked. Not to pour water into hot oil. I'll also add that this may not be basic knowledge, but it should be. I myself only found out from one of my science electives in year 11/12, and even then it was a topic that only came up after a student asked my teacher about an incident that popped up on the news, so chances are it would never have been mentioned otherwise. Schools should at least have a lesson/program highlighting the common risks at home and the methods to avoid/contain them. Homeroom class would have been a perfect time. We spent the majority of that twiddling our fingers until the bell rang. That stars are not part of the solar system. It's crazy. My ex, a PhD in behavioral economics now, thought there were stars in our solar system, and I found it so funny and cute. Gave her a crash course in astronomy. If you are new to the channel, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching.